Welcome to another purpose-fueled episode of the No Limits Life podcast. I'm your host, Nordine, here with my co-host, Ken. And
Hello.
Today's conversation is about legacy, vision, and unwavering service to others. True leadership doesn't just build systems, it builds people, communities, and futures. Today's guest is a powerhouse in the nonprofit world whose life and work have transformed the way we support the homeless and vulnerable in our communities. Lisa Chastain is the CEO of Gospel Rescue Mission in Tucson, Arizona, and the driving force behind the nationally recognized Center of Opportunity, a hub for collaboration, transformation, and lasting impact. Born and raised in Tucson and the granddaughter of the Gospel Rescue Mission Foundation, Ray Chastain, Lisa was once on a path toward business success until her heart was forever changed by a calling to serve. From leading Hope Fest to now managing over 50 nonprofit partnerships through GRM, which is Gospel Rescue Mission. Lisa has spent over 25 years blending compassion with strategy to create sustainable change. Please welcome a trailblazer leader, a visionary, a servant of purpose, Lisa Chastain.
Thank you so much for having me. I don't know what else I can say now that with that incredible intro.
Lisa, welcome again. And that quote, true leadership doesn't just build systems, it builds people, communities, and futures. Feels like a perfect reflection of your work. How has that mindset shaped your path into nonprofit leadership?
Yeah, it is. It's a powerful statement, and we at the Center of Opportunity, it's what we do is we build people. We're in the human development business. So nonprofits are business. Of course, there's a business element to it. But a different purpose, right? Our customer is transitioning people's lives. We say it, taking people from homeless to wholeness. And
I love that.
Yeah,
and
great.
it's an amazing journey. We get to come to work and walk alongside people that are transitioning their life for better. And what a privilege that we have every day that we get that opportunity to journey alongside them.
And you can see that emotion, that when you say, we get to.
Yeah.
You don't have to. We get to. And that's in itself is a testament of what you do. I want you to dive into this beautiful thing that you just said, homeless to wholeness. Can you please give us a little window into that statement?
Yeah. Well, what does that look like? There's a lot of little steps along the way. Basically, when we were building the Center of Opportunity, we said, what obstacles do the homeless face in getting them to be self-sufficient? The list was long, and so we took a look at that list and just said, okay, we need to provide the solutions here at the Center of Opportunity. As I often say, if they want to end homelessness out of their lives, there's no excuses there, because we have all the solutions to not only help them in whether it's drug addiction, mental health, lack of unemployment, lack of employment, lack of housing, whatever the case may be, and everything in between, that we have a solution and a provider there at the Center of Opportunity for them to receive help out of that. I'll give you a little example of something that we don't think about. But somebody who comes off the streets, typically has some incidents with the law. And so we have a group of attorneys that come in pro bono, offer their time, and to get people out of their legal entanglements. And one step further from that, we actually hold court at the Center of Opportunity, homeless court. A judge comes and presides. And because people are doing the work and they're seeking treatment, most of the time the judge honors them to quash warrants, to combine fines for community
Second
service.
chance.
Right. Think about somebody who who has a rap sheet of things against them, and they think, I could never find freedom out of this. I've seen the biggest tatted out guys, walk out of that room in tears because they never thought that they would be free, from all of those legal entrapments. But that's just one thing.
Yeah. How about mental health?
So mental health, we have several different providers that we work with mental health, but we have two providers on campus, and that's the Wellbeing Institute and also El Rio Health. that's there with us, and they help people journey out of that, mental health challenges. So the intake process works. If somebody comes in that day, they're coming in straight off the streets. If they're under the influence, where they're either under the influence of alcohol or drugs, we will take them to detox. We partner with 3 different organizations to do detox. Mm-hmm. Detox is the only thing that's done off property for us because it is a medical. We take them to a medical facility, and but they're transported to detox. Detox might be 24, 48, 72 hours, whatever the case may be, and we hold a bed for them at the center. Mm-hmm. So then they're transported back to the center where they enter into what we call a stabilization period. Mm-hmm. Because if somebody has been doing drugs or under the influence for long periods of time, they don't even have a clear thought for a month.
Absolutely.
So how do they determine what they need, what their goals are in their life, when they can't even really have a clear thought?
Is the word lost applicable here?
Absolutely. I think that we're all, there's reasons why people find themselves, where they are. And our job is to, compassion looks like to us helping them get off the streets, helping them address the root issues of why they became homeless to begin with.
A lot of people don't understand that, Lisa.
Right.
And we go back to the journey. I'd love to delve into that. This is an important thing to note. A lot of people, when they see someone who's on the streets, and they immediately think, are they too lazy or this or that? What do you have to say about that?
There's a lot of opinions about that. Mm-hmm. But we find, through our own data research, is that 80% of the people that come to us for help are homeless because of drug addiction and mental health. And most of the time, both. What came first, the chicken or the egg, right?
Exactly, absolutely.
So we don't have as much as a homeless problem as we have an addiction problem and a mental health crisis. And so to put people directly into a home without addressing those issues first is not a good combination. No. Then there's isolation on top of everything else. And data shows that they're back on the streets in 3 months. So we want to address those root issues of why people are homeless to begin with and give them solutions that address those issues so that they can lead successful pathways forward.
It's almost like you giving them hope, but you create that inner environment to accept hope, because we can't accept hope if we're not ready. In other words, as you mentioned, you're out on the streets in 2-3 weeks. I've worked with you guys. I volunteered with you for, I think, since
many
it was
years.
Open. And what I immediately see when I work with people there, I see that willingness to change, deep-rooted willingness to change, not because they think about change, but they feel inside of them that there is support. There are people there who love them, who want to take their hands and take them on a journey. Yeah. So this being said, the journey. Continue with that.
And so what our intake looks like is we do assessments. We'll do a mental health assessment. We'll do, an education assessment because we want to make sure we get them the help that they really need. So somebody's in a manic, state where they need treatment, then we will send them to a referring partner, most of the time the crisis response center. And if they're able to be medicated and stabilized through medication, then they come back. But as you know, our facility is very peaceful. It's very calm.
Oh, yes, it is.
So we'll talk about the culture and their environment later. But so we want people that are a good match, for our campus. A good match is somebody who, number one, wants help. Number two is independent. They can take care of themselves. We're not a medical facility, so we don't have the capacity to take care of, people in that way. And they have to have a desire, like I said, to be open to resources that we have to get help. But that is the number one, the number one motivation, as you know, Nordine, with your work and your life and what you've dedicated your life to. If somebody doesn't want the help, if they're doing it for us or they're doing it for their parents or their loved ones or whatever, it's not going to work for them. Really, the long-term help comes out of desire for them to really want the help themselves.
Yeah.
And so the people that are committed to that life change in their life, they get all the resources that they need, and they go on to live incredible, successful lives.
And people come with their children there, too. I've seen people with 2, 3, 4 children. Can you please tell us, the different aspects of, there's so many. The center is a huge place with different activities, programs, and all that. But tell us, what are the different segments, so to speak? I know there's the rehab center, and then there's the young women. Is that what you call it, or family?
Everybody's individually case managed. So that's the thing I love about what we do, is that we're messy. Not any formula is going to work for everybody.
Not at all.
So everybody comes in, they meet with a caseworker, and they put together a plan for them. But if I had to categorize it under, 3 or 4 buckets,
exactly. Yes, please.
I would say that we have the short-term emergency shelter that is there for people that say, hey, I just need to get off the streets. I don't want to commit to any program. I just need to do my laundry and blah, blah, blah. They can stay there for a maximum of 7 days.
And you have up to 800 beds for that.
We have 350 beds for that.
Okay.
Then there's workforce development. So the people that just say, hey, I just need to, find a job and, get back into the workplace and I'm good. So that's workforce development. Then housing, those that just need to secure.
There.
Absolutely.
Yes,
so,
that's what I love about that.
So the workforce is huge, so we not only say, oh, here, is how do you search for jobs online. I mean, we have a very expansive workforce development department, and that is that we do the soft skills. We teach them how to build a resume. We do mock interviews. We teach them how to search for jobs. But other than that, beyond that, we partner together with Pima Community College, which is a local college here in town.
They go back to school.
And they go back to school. Yeah. And they are offered what we call rapid certification for higher paying jobs. Because our job is really not to just get people a hand up, but really to try to get them out of poverty, right? To get them out of that cycle of poverty in their lives. So they can be taught a new trade, for a higher paying job. And that includes jobs in IT, construction, culinary, logistics management. There's several other trades that I'm forgetting right now, but
IT,
think about somebody comes there that only has fast food, maybe work experience. And all of a sudden they're learning how to code, how to do coding, how to, do HVAC or plumbing. That are getting paid a lot of money right now. So that's incredible. And then we have the hands-on training, which we have the cafe and other businesses that they can actually get the hands-on training.
So you not only help them, give them the fish, but you help them to fish.
Yes.
And that's
absolutely.
That's remarkable.
So also we have the housing program, where we're placing people in houses. Whether they're subsidized or non-subsidized, and typically somebody goes through the process. They usually need to get a job before they get a house or find housing. So they transition from workforce. Once they get a job, they're able to save. We want them to save about $3,000 before they go into housing, so that they have the first and last deposit and all the things to, again, set them up. And then they go into housing, and we place them in housing. We have several relationships, both with workforce, with the businesses in town. We have great relationships with businesses to get people placed. In the 6 years we've been open, we've placed 3,000 people in brand new jobs.
That's all.
3,000 people in brand new jobs. Remarkable. If you want to break it down, that's about $8 million invested into the local community every single year. Amazing. Just from the jobs that we're getting people at the Center of Opportunity. And so those are basically the 3 buckets, and then the addiction recovery. So, in our experience, 30, 60, 90-day programs are not enough time for people to really get the help that they need. So ours is a year long.
1 year.
You know, it's a long commitment, and that's in treatment.
Yeah.
And so it's a very big commitment.
And they stay there, right?
So they stay there. All of everything is paid for. They get 3 meals a
How
day.
many people in that program?
So we have about 120 right now in recovery.
They stay there, they sleep there, they work there, they eat there.
And they're trained there. You know, they go through classes. We partner with organizations that does the trauma piece, you know, because most people, you know, I think everybody has been impacted by trauma one way or the other in their lives, some more severe than others. And so we deal with the trauma and the root issues of addiction and what causes the addiction. And so they have really a lot of education, relapse tools, and all the things that they need in order for them to overcome.
There is no excuse not to make it.
I guess I'm stuck on this $3,000 that you have them save. I bet you anything, I don't know what percent, let's just say it's 80% if we go with Pareto's principle, right? 80-20. I bet you anything, 80% of those people have never had $3,000
You're right.
saved. That's
You're
amazing.
right, yeah.
My question, though, is you had a chance, you know, to be in corporate world, working for-profit companies. So what made you decide to go this route and give all that up? I mean, I know you're running this amazing place, but, you know, that's a tough decision. I mean, you know, you've got prestige, you've got money, you know, when you're on the corporate side, but you chose to go nonprofit. So what had you go that direction?
It's not ever a choice. You know, for me, it's a calling. Where I'm at right now, you know, God has really used every single tool that I've ever been trained, you know, from the corporate world for this job. And so for me, you know, Ken, it wasn't a choice. 21, when God kind of came into my life and redirected my path. And I was raised in a family business. My dad is a home builder. And that was my life. I have 2 sisters, you know, so we have 3 girls raised in a man's world.
Was he disappointed?
No, he wasn't disappointed. He's my number one cheerleader. So, no, super proud. Yeah, just I went a different direction, but so glad I did, you know, because there's no greater reward, in my opinion, than having the opportunity to be able to have a small part in people's lives.
Yeah, it's not what's in it for me, but what's in it for them. Lisa, we talked about the center. We talked about your willingness to help. How about you, the willingness to help you? It's a huge undertaking to be leading a center like the Center of Opportunity, but that's not the only thing you do. You are also running other programs, correct? The Gospel Rescue Mission is not just the Center of Opportunity. Can you tell us and I'm sure you're going to go towards God's ability to fuel you with that love, but beyond, there's no beyond that, but under that,
Yeah.
What do you do for yourself to be able to cope, with your work?
So yeah, it's a lot of work. We've been building the center for 6 years. You know, and we've been under construction for 6 years.
Yeah, I've seen, yeah.
And it's amazing. I love it. It's incredible work, but it is hard work. So, you know, the last 4 years I've been concentrated on building the team and building the staff and making sure that the staff, we have, you know, a highly desirable workplace, you know, for personal and professional development. And so that our staff are just like, you know, are the best people in the city, but also have all the training and all the tools they need to be the best employee. And so that they have a desire every single day to be excited to come to work. And because, you know, if you're in that place where you're coming to us for help, and you have somebody that's serving you that's miserable and doesn't want to be there, you know, that's not going to offer much hope.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it starts with our employees and making sure that
and
they
it
are.
starts with you as a leader.
Exactly. Yeah, but my job is to make sure we have the right staff and the staff to be of the right mindset, that they're, you know, called to serve people.
But it trickles down from the top to the bottom.
Yeah, and but building a team is hard. Building buildings is easy. Building people is hard. And so I can say, that we're here, 6 years later from the inception, but really 3 years later of this concentrated building servant leaders, that we have the most incredible team. I mean, you've experienced them, Nordine, and
I've seen it, yeah.
And they're incredible. And so, along with that is a good executive team and senior leadership team so that I can focus on other things other than the day-to-day. So I feel like, the team's got the day-to-day. And so that was a big relief, because I was carrying the vision and the day-to-day, which, makes for a very weary leader.
Can be very overwhelming indeed.
Yeah. So right now it's just I need to invest more time into myself. I instill and make sure that it's part of our culture, that self-care is a part of what everybody does, because compassion fatigue is real, and you invest into people's lives every single day, and it withdraws from you as a person, and you got to find your place of deposit. And I need to be a better practicer of that.
I love that. Compassion fatigue. There is such a thing. And that, I think, comes from the depletion of compassion within yourself.
Right.
When we are depleted, we can't really have compassion for others if we don't really have compassion for ourselves. But I've seen, at the center, every time I went and I saw all the staff, running around, helping, every one of them had a smile. Every one of them had that positive, behavior, so to speak. And that is what makes the difference between a successful, enterprise and one that is not successful. Because I think you guys are successful. You even are being looked at as a model to serve for other states to develop the same thing.
Yes, we've had 17 different states come and, get inspiration for what we're doing here to do something similar in their cities. And it's a privilege for me to continue to work with some of these states that are looking for solutions. But we're ready for that. We have a couple of different cities that are almost ready to pull the trigger on starting a center of opportunity in their city. And we'll be there to help them along the way to do that, because we do believe that this is a great solution to the homeless crisis, and not only because it takes people off the streets, but it transforms individuals into contributing members of society.
You have so many amazing things that I'm listening to you talk about the Center of Opportunity. But I think it'd be interesting for our viewers to know, what is on the horizon? What do you got coming up next? I mean, can you even share anything like that? Anything
I'd be happy to.
I mean, I know you're going to be in other cities, but what's next?
Yeah, we're not done yet in Tucson. As the way I always look at it, if there's an opportunity that we're missing in serving our people the best we can possibly do, and there's not another great organization in town that's doing it, that maybe we should do it. So one of those is, I had mentioned, is our social enterprise. That's our creating businesses in order to get the hands-on training for the people that are going through the workforce program. So right now, we just purchased we call it Opportunity Coffee and Cafe.
Wow.
We did a mobile, we bought a food truck and converted it into a coffee truck. And we call them interns, but they're through our program. They're in workforce, and that are training to be baristas and training customer service and all of the knowledge, skills, and abilities.
Brilliant.
So, so the mobile cafe has been open, I think, for a couple of months now. And so we're serving coffee right at the Center of Opportunity.
Is it there, parked there, or it goes around?
No, it's parked there right now from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. But all the while, we're building the brick and mortar version, so that should be built in July. That will be a opportunity coffee and cafe, and then we're building at the same time a barber shop, and we're giving people the opportunity to get licensed as a barber, and for them to offer those services. And then also we have an opportunity to build a sports and learning center for youth. So we've been working on that as well. And so other than that, we're really looking at housing. The problem with some of the affordable housing that's available in Tucson is that we do such a good job with getting people in a new supportive community. Mm-hmm. And so if they leave us, but they still need to be subsidized in their housing, they're returning back to the toxic environment than what they tried to escape from. So we've looked at
back into that old conditioning. Yeah.
Right. So we've been looking at different housing models across the country. We've been to Austin, Texas. We've been to San Antonio, Texas. They have 2 really good housing models, and doing our due diligence to see how we would do housing in Tucson. But that's going to be a huge capital undertaking. But that is in our back of our minds as well.
Yeah. So not only you teach him a vocation, but you also put him in homes.
Yes. And the homes is wrapped around this community.
Yeah.
That's great.
That is, part of our culture, and it's supportive and it's sober living. And all the things that, people really need to succeed. Even science says, if somebody stays sober for 5 years, they have a chance to stay sober the rest of their lives. Mm-hmm. And we see relapse happening, right out of people when they leave us, in that first year of by the time they leave until then they come back. And our doors are open to those people that come back. But we've really done some study on, what can we do to prevent the relapsing that's happening for some of our folks. And so then we made a commitment to stay with people for 5 years. And so that means, even when they leave us to go into housing, we're still staying in contact with them. They come and be part of the alumni. They're still doing their volunteer work there so that they stay in community with us so that they have a better chance.
Not to forget that, I almost forgot, you have a beautiful gym there.
Yeah, thank you so we do, I like to say, minister to people, mind, body, and spirit. Mm-hmm. And so there is very practical things there. So let me set this up. So before we had the big, beautiful gym that we're going to talk about at the Center of Opportunity, we had just some free weights in like a closet, so it was only the hardcore people that really just wanted to get their pump on. That even looked for, that even utilized those weights. So when we were building the new buildings at the center, me and Humberto Lopez were talking about the needs. And I go, we really need a full service gym. And so in one of the new buildings, we built a 2,500 square foot gym and an exercise room so that they could have the luxury that all of us do that have gym memberships. And really have that opportunity for therapy to really hit the body part. Before we said, there's not really anything that we can do beyond education because we didn't have the facility. Yeah. But now, why don't you talk about the gym and what you've experienced there?
The gym is a full-blown, traditional gym with cardio machines, strength training. They even have a group fitness room where you can do classes. And it's fully functional and it's beautiful. I love it. I've been there several times, worked with people there, and people love to go there. And I think, as you said earlier, it's important. You said mind, body, and spirit. The body is a very important part of, rehabilitation. And when you go to the gym, you let go of that, excess energy, that stress, those anxieties, and it helps with that. And, I'm very proud of what you guys have done. And, it's just amazing. So one thing that I would like you to address people out there who know about what you're doing, but haven't made the jump. They're still on the streets. What would you say to them?
Well, homelessness is a systemic problem. It takes all of us working together to really even deplete the need right now. But I would say, there's a lot of stigmas that homeless shelters have. And for us at the Center of Opportunity, we tried to remove all those stigmas and all of those associations that people have in their mind about what a homeless shelter is like. The thing, if you ask people on the streets, which I do every single day, for anybody that's in the media, and I'll roll my window down and have a conversation with them. And, the first thing that comes out of their mouth on why, have you heard of the Center of Opportunity? Can you get help there? They have too many rules there, so I think there's a misconception, or it's an easy excuse to stop the conversation, that there's rules there. But, in life, right? Do we have accountability to things? Yes, we do. So of course, we're not going to open our doors to allow them to live as if they're on the streets.
There are boundaries, yes.
There's boundaries, there's accountability, but that's how people heal, So there's a lot of reasons that, or people call them barriers, in the federal conversation, they call them high barrier and low barrier shelters. We would be considered high barrier only because we don't accept, drugs or alcohol on
rules.
Campus. Mm-hmm. And these low barrier shelters, you can come as you are, which really doesn't really attribute to healing in that environment, in my opinion. So but in Tucson particularly, I can speak to that, that we have a lot of laws that are just simply not being enforced. Now, I'm not a proponent for let's arrest everybody that's on the streets. That's not the answer either. But there used to be a time in Tucson where people were sentenced to treatment, and that was working. We had so many people that were court ordered. They might not lock us in the first week, but you know what? Then their life ends up changing. So there's different solutions that we can provide people that get them off the streets, that try to get them in treatment facilities, whether it's mental health or it's addiction. To try to get them the help that they really need. But allowing them to live on the streets is not the answer. Yeah. And a lot of cities do it under the guise of compassion. And for me, that's not the compassionate response. So it breaks my heart, to see so many people living on the streets when we have, as we're speaking here, 30 empty beds. That shouldn't be the case.
That's very, there's a fine line between being a good parent and a bad one. The parent that is not really responsible for their children is the one that doesn't put rules there, boundaries, accountability. You guys are like the parent. You're ready to have these guys come back and have a second chance. If only they abide to the certain rules who aren't. I don't think you guys have rigid rules.
We call them guidelines. We stay away from the R word.
Guidelines. I like the guidelines.
You hold them accountable, like I hold my kids accountable.
Right.
At the end of the day, they're going to be better off. They have a second chance, in life. And, if there are no rules and no guidelines and no boundaries, there would be no sense of opportunity.
Right?
It's chaos, So the bottom line, if you are out there and you are, you don't know where to go, you need help, think about it. Help comes only when you are willing to accept help. And when you have the courage enough to face yourself and say to yourself, I truly need help. So I'm going to seek help, whether it's the Center of Opportunity or elsewhere. But be bold enough, be courageous. If you have some self-respect and some self-compassion and self-love for yourself, then seek help. And that's why we have you here.
Yeah, and on that, Nordine, I think that, we don't take that lightly. We know that this might be the only time that people ask for help. And it's humiliating, and there's shame involved in that. And, in so many other factors, for us to surrender and ask for help. So, so our frontline staff, you know, they take that seriously. You know, if somebody, you know, is willing and comes and asks for help, even if we're not the best place for them, we're going to get them the help that they need. You know, we never turn anybody away without a solution on where to go. But 90% of those people, you know, we have usher them right in, you know. There's 80% of Americans that are one paycheck away from being homeless.
Exactly.
We are a society that lives paycheck to paycheck.
That was my next question, yes.
And so, and we've had people in our doors that are, you know, judges and attorneys and medical doctors, and they've lost their whole entire life because of addiction.
I've talked to a former doctor there.
Yep. And so, you know, addiction is no respecter of persons, you know, and so we know that everybody has a story, and deeper than that, everybody has a purpose.
It's the ability to listen to the story that allows you to open your arms and help them. You said a very powerful word, shame. Shame is at a very low level of consciousness. It's a powerful emotion, negative emotion, that covers or stop your ability to create for yourself. You know, it stops everything. Shame stops love. It stops everything. You're no longer able to see outside. You lock yourself in a comfortable zone where reality is no longer available to you when you feel shameful. That's why they don't seek help, because they're stuck.
Right.
When we are able to get them out of that emotion of shame, guilt, they jump into that self-compassion, love. That's when they seek and they open to help. So if you are there, if you feel shameful or guilty of anything and don't want to seek help, there's hope. We have all the tools. Let's put it that way. And you deliver those with love and hope. So I hope that people who are listening, who are in that sort of predicament, are going to be seeking your help. Thank you, Lisa, for being here and for the tremendous work that you and Umberto are doing. It's just mind-boggling. I've seen it. It's just fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Lisa, for being part of No Limits Life. Wanted to make sure that everybody that's watching or listening today has a chance to help us out, actually. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe, like, or share this with somebody that you think would benefit from it. And until next time, I hope you have a great day, and we'll see you next.
Take care, folks.
Next show.